We have some stuff to discuss today. Who is Robert Whittaker's next fight? Because he seems to want to fight Magomed Ankalaev. And a lot of people have been criticizing this matchup and saying that it doesn't make sense. But hear me out, okay? Robert Whittaker has entered the light heavyweight division and he knocked out Nikita Krylov in the third round. He broke his jaw. Magomed Ankalaev, his last fight was against Bogdan Guskov. Now, Guskov knocked out Nikita Krylov in the first round, but also the fight was shit. So, it's an interesting matchup. The boxing, like the striking, Magomed Ankalaev, very technical striker at light heavyweight. And Robert Whittaker has shown that he's got the crisp boxing. He's got the nice straight shots. And both guys have been champions. I mean, both guys have been former champions. It's kind of easy to sell on that front. And the light heavyweight division right now is a little bit of a wild west. Magomed Ankalaev was booked to fight Khalil Roundtree, which, in my personal opinion, doesn't make a lot of sense. Roundtree has been losing fights against top contenders. It doesn't make sense that he gets another one. Whereas Whittaker won in such a way where it's kind of like, hey, maybe we could shoot him up the rankings. I think Azamat Murzakanov is going to be out for a while still. He's probably cycling on more steroids. Speaking of steroids, Volkan Oezdemir just popped, so he's not going to be fighting anytime soon. Dominic Reyes, it's just not an intriguing matchup. He doesn't have the name value that Robert Whittaker does. And a lot of guys in light heavyweight are also moving up to heavyweight. A lot of guys from middleweight are moving up to light heavyweight. And Robert Whittaker's already fought them. I'm not interested in seeing him fight Paulo Costa again. I'm not interested in seeing him fight Khamzat Chimaev again, even though the first fight was a fluke. And if his jaw was in a better shape, he wouldn't have got face cranked. It is what it is. It was a fluke. He would have won that fight had it gone on. But, Renia Derrida, I don't want to see that rematch. But the Magomed Ankalaev matchup, it's very fresh. It's very new. It's very exciting. But I've seen people say something online that I think is kind of, dumb. And it's that this fight should be for an interim championship. And I could not disagree more. Firstly, Carlos Ulberg is the champion. And if Robert Whittaker is the interim champion, that positions him to fight Ulberg next. And that's just that there's going to be a bit of a problem if a couple guys win a couple matchups. And it's that these guys who train at City Kickboxing, Robert Whittaker now, Ulberg, Navajo Sterling, they're not going to want to fight each other. But in today's video, I'm just going to go through how some top light heavyweight matchups, kind of give my early prediction and explain some things that we could be looking at in the future of light heavyweight. Jan Blachowicz called out Robert Whittaker. I don't think this fight should happen. Jan Blachowicz, he did lose his last fight to Navajo Sterling. He wants to get right back in there. He wants to fight Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker was like, he responded to the call out. He said, send location. And then he ats Mick Maynard, the UFC matchmaker. And it's interesting, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Whittaker beat up Unks. He's at that point in his career where it's kind of sink or swim with the light heavyweight stuff. And if we want to see how good he is, I think we just got to shoot him up there. Jan Blachowicz is unranked in the Meta AI rankings, I'm pretty sure. And he's dropped down a fair bit in the media rankings to like number 9. Because he got beaten by Navajo Sterling, who I think should fight Khalil Roundtree. He called out Khalil Roundtree. He also called out someone else, but I think this Khalil Roundtree fight is a bit better. Reason being, Khalil Roundtree, yes, he's good. Should not be fighting someone ranked above him. And I think Sterling might be number 5 or 6. And he's, Jan Blachowicz is old. I think he's got to fight someone a bit younger, a bit more in their prime, and I think Khalil Roundtree is the perfect candidate. And once again, why I don't think the interim title should be on the line for any of these fights is, firstly, it forces the city kickboxing guys to fight each other, and they're just not going to want to do that. But they should. And also, it kind of means that in these matchups that I'm suggesting in today's video, whoever has the best performance, whoever performs the best, should get the title shot, right? I think this is kind of like you get all these guys fighting at similar times, and whoever has the best performance, whoever shows out the most, gets to fight Carlos Ulberg. Or doesn't if they're from City Kickboxing, which is, it's driving me fucking insane. Like, why are we doing this? But I think Khalil Roundtree versus Navajo Sterling. Navajo Sterling is absolutely massive for the division. He kind of dwarfed Jan Blachowicz. Khalil Roundtree, on the other hand, not the biggest for the division, but very fast, can blitz in well. We saw against Jamal Hill, who is kind of like, there to be pieced up. But Khalil Roundtree has a very interesting repertoire of strikes. He's got the nasty oblique kicks. He fights you like you owe him money. He is, very powerful, very fast. And I think a matchup with Navajo Sterling would be fireworks. It would be the toughest guy Sterling has faced. And it kind of gives Khalil a chance to hold it down for the top 5. And it gives Sterling a chance to kind of, we know he's good. We know he passes the eye test for sure. But we're going to need some names on paper. And Jan Blachowicz at 43 years of age is not cutting it. But moving forward, Yuri Prohaska said that the UFC offered him Paulo Costa. I think they should make this fight. People are saying Yuri should fight Ankalaev. People are saying, stuff like that. Paulo Costa should fight Ankalaev. They want these guys to fight Ankalaev. I don't want these guys to fight Ankalaev. I think that this fight would be a banger. Honestly. Costa has a lot of thud. A lot of thud at light heavyweight. It works better for him. He's more, he's in better condition when he fights at light heavyweight as opposed to middleweight. And I think he could really put something together. But this screams to me, Yuri Prohaska, round 3 slime out. But there's a lot of things that could go into making this fight, really interesting. If it was scheduled for 5 rounds, would that affect anything? You could say that for all these fights. If it was scheduled for 5 rounds, maybe Yuri has a better chance of outlasting Paulo Costa, but Paulo Costa's got good cardio. I think this is, beating Azamat Mirzakhanov, yes, it's nice, but he is a short, fat guy for the division. Whereas Yuri Prohaska, he is like a lifelong light heavyweight, and he is an established name in the division, probably the biggest name after Alex Pereira, who doesn't fight at light heavyweight anymore. And I think if Paulo Costa really wants to stake his claim, he's got to fight Yuri Prohaska. And if he's good enough to fight for the title, he'll beat him. And if he's not, he's getting murked. But I think both guys would look good in this fight until they don't. Do I think Paulo Costa has the kind of one-shot knockout power to get Yuri Prohaska? No. And I think you need a bit of that to beat Yuri. But who knows? It's mixed martial arts. Anything can happen. And, whoever performs best in this fight, you could position them for a title shot. Maybe not Yuri, but Costa definitely. There is a city kickboxing problem. Robert Whittaker in a top contender fight, not good if he wins, because he's not going to want to fight the champion. Navajo Sterling, he's not going to want to fight the champion, because all of these guys train together. And that is really not good for the division. We've seen instances where Guys will train together and refuse to fight each other, and it's fine and dandy if there's two of them, right? Marab and Aljo, that's an example. Um, but three guys in the division who don't want to fight each other, it's kind of like when you're playing Team Fortress 2 and, there's a bunch of hoovies. I don't know if you know this kind of bowl, but there's a bunch of hoovies. There's a bunch of peaceful protesters, and it's like, I do kind of just want to play the game. I do kind of just want to, see something happen. We're circle jerking a little bit, and no one wants to see that. But all of these guys train together, and Robert Whittaker said in a recent interview, that he feels that it's a bit dog to fight the guys you train with, and I'm not a fighter, right? But I would get that impression too. So we've got a bunch of guys at the top of the division who aren't going to want to fight each other. We're going to have to see them fight each other. Otherwise we're going to see Yuri fight for the title again. Carlos Ulberg becoming champ might have been the worst thing to happen for the timeline. Because if Yuri was champ right now, all of these guys could manage getting title shots. All of these guys could win their contender fights and not be worried about, I've got to fight my friend next. But now everyone is buddy-buddy, and it's going to be a problem. It's going to be bad. I reckon this is a sick fight. Whittaker versus Ankalaev, and I want to see it happen as fast as possible. I don't want to see Ankalaev fight for a title. He doesn't deserve it. I don't want to see Jan Blachowicz fight again. I think he should retire. I want to see Khalil Roundtree fight Navajo Sterling. I think that's a really kind of, if Navajo Sterling wins, he is that good. And if Khalil Roundtree wins, he's held it down. And Yuri Prohaska versus Paulo Costa, I just think, is fireworks in every universe. But that's what I think about the light heavyweight division. It's in a better state than it was in April, but there's still some roadblocks that we're looking to overcome. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Like and subscribe to the Woksky MMA channel. And yeah, peace.